Hello and welcome to I Draw, You Watch. This week I'm going to be letting you in a little project that I'm doing. I'm going to talk a little bit about it as it goes along. But basically, the premise was I've got a lot of favourite characters in games, and there are a lot of female characters. But instead of a lot of my favourite characters are not the tropes, the sexualised characters that you might see a lot of artists concentrate on, or or they take characters and then sexualize them. What I wanted to do was take a normal everyday scene, and put some characters from many different games, many of my favourite games, many of my favourite characters into that scene. And my thought was just putting them in a normal situation. I was thinking a poker game, something like that. But the poker game and the pool hall and all that—that's all been done with dogs, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to go down that road. So I asked Jodie what if there was like, and she came up with, "Why don't you do a long bar as the image from the bartender?" So he's looking out across this long bar, and you've got all of the people lined up because there's a lot of people in it. And I thought it was a great idea. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to talk through it as we go along, but this is the setup. I've basically sectioned it out into all the characters that I'm going to have, and then we're going to do a quick sketch of each one, and then I'll do a slightly more detailed sketch, and then I'll finish it up there. And it's just about positioning at the moment where I want them. So I'm just saying where I'm going to put them based on the size of the gap, who I think would interact well with who, based on a couple of ideas I've got for the characters as they do interact with each other. But like I said, there's a lot of images out there of gaming, female characters in gaming, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different, just like a little normal thing. And it's just for me. It's not for. I mean, I might put it up on the website. I probably will put it up on the website, but it's not going to be one of those things that I'm trying to promote or anything else. It's just one of those things I can draw. I can print off myself, high resolution image, get a nice long print, put it in a frame in my house. But I want to do it justice because I mean I'm used to drawing cartoon characters and I'm used to drawing my characters. So when I draw something different, I tend to borrow too heavily from the style of the image, or I don't get it right at all. So, like the one example I can think of is a strip where I drew the Windows 8 character, the manga character, and then I drew the Twitter avatar. They were, I was quite pleased with the drawings, but I'm borrowing heavily from manga for one of them. I'm borrowing heavily from Jason Scott Campbell for the other. So I want to develop my own style for these, and I want to try and capture my style with the cartoon faces, the slightly chubby faces, the nose, but still have you look at the character, and if you know of the character, you can go, yeah, I know that is just by looking at them. I don't have to have any reference, but again, without dipping too far into the style. So all I'm doing here is just laying out where I'm going to put each person, so that I can get a rough idea of where I'm going to sketch them once I've got a bit of reference material up. And this is quite quick. We're just moving through so that we can get to a stage where I can go one by one. And as we go one by one, I'll talk a little bit about each character and why I wanted to put them in this strip. Some of them are for gaming reasons, some of them are for aesthetic reasons, some of them are for the storyline that the game had, some of the way it played, etc, etc, etc. So we'll go through all of that as and when we play. And there are so many different styles. It would look like a bit of a mess if I didn't try to keep my style while drawing all of these. So just leave myself a few notes here so that I can so that I know what I'm drawing when I come round to sketching it a little bit later on. But yeah, just stick figures for now to get the to give you the idea of what I'm trying to do. Okay. Right, we're nearly done here, so we'll just get we'll get some of the reference material up, and then I can go and start on the left hand side and work my way along. And that should be enough. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Just to get a little bit of reference material up. And the first one we have got is Bonnie McFarlane from the game Red Dead Redemption. There are a lot of photos or a lot of pictures of Bonnie, and it's either this sort of cult pulp image or it's in-game image. So I went for this one because basically all I really wanted to work out here was the clothing and the hairstyle. There's nothing else really I need. I know, you know, I know most of the rest of the character. It's just making sure that I got the hair right, making sure I got, most importantly, the clothing right, because that's what sets her apart is the clothing, the old Western style. I wanted her in it because she is, not only was she one of those strong-minded women that you rarely saw in games. I wouldn't say you rarely see in games, because more and more it's getting to the point where female characters are much better developed. But in previous games, you didn't so much see that sort of thing, and she was not only this strong-willed woman. She was also, this was in on the plains of the Old West, where if you think there's misogyny now, I mean back then, good lord. So she ran her own farm, etc., etc. Plus, I really wanted to. I mean, the clothing just sets her apart from anyone else. So it was going to be really fun, and that big collar is going to be an iconic part of it. The waistcoat, and that'll probably be about as much as you can see, because that line obviously along the horizon is the bar itself. So, and I want to try and give each of them their own their drink that I would expect them to, not expect them, but one that I think would sum up their character. So Old West, it's going to be a glass of some kind of whiskey or bourbon. I don't know what else they drank back in the Old West. To be fair, I think it was all stuff like that. I imagine they had ales in barrels, but obviously without being able to keep anything cold, I can't imagine that would stay nice for very long. Whereas wines and spirits, plus, I mean, what else are you going to do in the Old West after you've done a hard day's work? Just get some drink in. But yeah, okay, and obviously with there was the whole scene where she was tortured and taken away, or taken away and tortured, in that order. It's just it's all just a part of why I wanted to include her in the piece. And you can see where I'm trying to keep my own style with the face and everything else, but I've got the bunny, and I've worked out how the waistcoat works. I've got the collar in the same way that I would draw collars in if I was doing, say, Warren or Lawrence, or, well, Lawrence has never been in a shirt. I was Warren. It's usually, the news reporters what's his name? What do I call him? Douglas Fastnonce, or Douglas. What's the other one? I call him something else as well. Douglas Fastnonce is usually in a shirt, and also Caps McGavin. Obviously, Caps McGavin's usually in a shirt. Although I've tended to draw him with a shirt over the top of a V-neck. most recently. Anyway, getting off topic. That's roughly Bonnie there. We'll move on to the next one, I think. Alex from Half-Life 2. I mean, when you talk of characters that totally broke the mold, this game is a late 90s game, early 2000s. Um, I'll say early to mid 2000s, sorry, and just just an amazing character. Uh, One of those ones that completely steals the game. You're Gordon Freeman, and you've got a couple of other side characters in there. Some of those you know from Black Mesa, from Half-Life, the original. But just because she follows you round through Ravenholm, and then obviously she gets the moment where she gets attacked. I was going to say spoilers then, but good lord, the game's old. Um, when she gets attacked at the beginning of episode 2 or 1, or is it even at the beginning? Anyway, she gets attacked when you're trying to crawl through that house. She gets attacked, and the aliens try and save her and stuff like that. And I was so shocked when that happened. And she's just an amazing character, just fantastically rendered, well, great voice acting, just all round one of the better characters. And she was probably one, if not one of the sorry, if not like first or second, she was one of the first people that popped into my head when I thought about doing this. When I thought about doing this project, and again, a totally unique style, kind of that tomboyish, trying to scrape together what you can for I've given her ice and a slice. I don't know what tall drink I'm going to give her. Long Island iced tea, maybe. She's unwinding from a day of taking on the threat of City 17. Yeah, it's just one of those characters. You know, Valve. They're brilliant at what they do. Shell from Portal was another one I considered, but she's very she's faceless, really. I know you get the images, same with Gordon Freeman, but you don't really see much of them in the actual games unless you're looking in a reflection or Portal, as you would. And there's no real personality there. The clothing's pretty dull. I would have been better off going for the character from Mirror's Edge, because it's a similar sort of outfit, but again, not a brilliant character. Nothing that really resonated with me. I think obviously the characters in Portal are the machines, Wheatley and GLaDOS. Okay, the third character, this was probably first on the list, was Zoe from Left 4 Dead 1. Valve again, obviously. When I got Left 4 Dead back in 2009, 10? 9 or 10? Maybe 8. Man, I don't know. Zoe was just a great character. It was just without having any story, you could just see how she seems to be the girl that's being protected by the rest of the group, the three, except for Louis. She's being protected by but in actual fact, she's got more of a survival instinct than most of the others, without losing any of the compassion, especially if you've gone through the DLC and you've read the online comic. And that's why she's got the first aid kit on there, because I wanted to set her apart from the others. She's got the first aid kit. I'll have her hand resting on that, and she's just having a big laugh because there's nothing to smile about Left 4 Dead, almost nothing. A few wisecracks now and again, but that game is full on, and I just wanted to full on head back laugh, and I had this image in my head probably you know, well, before I'd even come up with the bar idea, or Jodie had come up with the bar idea. And she's got a pretty iconic dress sense again, with the Converse and the red zip-up jacket, the kind of Fred Perry Adidas type tracksuit top. The next one is probably one of the most iconic female characters, and that's Samus Aran from Metroid. And this one is gonna. This is me to challenge myself, because there is there only one way to draw Samus? Is it, the images that Nintendo provide, or can I make this character my own with my own style? I can imagine me spending more time doing this character than a lot of the others put together, because I'm only going to have the head to play with. There are mocked up images of her with the helmet off and etc. And we've obviously seen her in the games, but there tends to be a little bit of freedom, artists' expression when it comes to what she looks like under the helmet. So it's just a case of not trying to get the. See, I think I've even done too much detail. Just in the sketch, there's a little bit too much detail in that. All you need to know is the shape of the visor. That's important, because that is important in the Metroid games. It's part of the logo. Sometimes it's iconic. So I need to get the shape of the visor right. But other than that, just draw the dome, draw the ear muffs, not the ear muffs, the molds that come out the side, and then the air intake pipes or whatever they are at the front, and that's your thing. Then you've got the giant shoulder pads, obviously, the big balls, and then and that's basically it. You can keep it very simple, but retain the aesthetic. And I'm having Samus is gonna have a warm drink. I don't know what yet. Probably chocolate with like marshmallows in it or something, because she's always in those extreme temperature places, and I always picture her either avoiding lava or in a frozen tundra. So I'm just thinking she's in from the cold. She got herself hot chocolate. She's just enjoying it. I'm not having her interact with any of the other people. She's just in the middle, or just off middle, with a nice big area to try and capture that. See, that's enough for a sketch right there. Put the spike in. That's enough for a sketch. You don't need any more. The arms, I don't need to draw them with all that armor on. I can just put them in the colours, in the irrelevant colours, and that'll be enough, I think. And then wrapping her hands around like a warm giant mug, one of those big oversized mugs that you get in airports. Me and Jodie went to an airport to pick up my mum. She'd just come back from Australia, and we got the when I looked at the internet, the flight said it was coming in an hour early, so we drove down there, and then when we got there we found out the flight was on time but not early, so we had a lot of time to kill. And Jodie got a hot chocolate from there, and the cup was the size. It was bigger than the bowls we use at home for like cereal and soup and stuff. It was ridiculous. I've got a picture of her on my phone, which I'll splice in here. No, she'll shit herself. She'll think you fucking do that, I'll kick her off. But she's got it right up around her face, bigger than her face. You can't see her face when she was drinking the last little bit of hot chocolate out of it. So yeah, so I'm going to do one of those big oversized cups. Not quite that big. I don't want to drink it out of a soup bowl. But see, that's enough. Leave it there. Stop messing around with it. Stop messing around with it, man. See, I'm doing all these ribcage bits. I don't need to do any of that. None of that comes into it. When I'm colouring, I can do like a darker groove. That'll do. I just need to get the basic shape. The helmet is important. The shoulder pads. That's it. Okay, the next one is I could have literally picked 4 or 5 people from Mass Effect, the series, because I mean, that game is, as a series of 3 games, it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. And I was never a big fan of the Asari, of Liara. Um, I was never a big fan of Ashley because she's basically a giant racist. Um, but I could have had Dr. Chakwa as one of the only sort of not contemporary interests that Commander Shepard has. She was a great character. She was a fantastic character, especially if you were like me and you wanted to explore all the conversation trees. So you went back and to speak to her in the ship whenever you was back there. So glad they kept her through the series. I could have the thief, um, the Jack. Jack was one of the greatest characters. The only reason I didn't pick Jack, the only reason, because I was going to have both of them. I was not going to not have Tally, but I was going to have both. The only reason I didn't have Jack is because her tattoos are just crazy. She's got so many tattoos, and they're coloured tattoos as well. I just would not have been able to do that justice, and it might have just offset the entire piece because I would have been staring at him, going, "Those tattoos look shit. Those tattoos look shit." So I just left her out and went for Tally, and I'm going to do Tally without her mask on as well. I just thought Tally was just a fantastic character, like an insecure but um, intelligent, just fantastically acted, scripted, um, and you don't. Tally's one of those characters you don't realise how good they are until you don't have them. So when I was doing a playthrough of Mass Effect 1 again, you're like, I need to get the bit when I get Tally, because Tally's got all the tech gear, and Tally's going to be able to help me do such and such, and Tally's got sabotage. And then when the second one comes around and you think you haven't got anyone at all, and it's all, and you realise like everyone that you've saved, or they're not in your team anymore, so you're dealing, you still got Joker, but that's about it, and it's all a bit annoying. You're working for a group of people that are terrorists basically, and I was really annoyed with the second game. But then all of a sudden you get Tally and you get Garrus, and it was just fantastic. And then they developed Tally's character through the three games, and it's just phenomenal. So there was no doubt that she was going to be in it when I came up with everything else. Of course, one of the most iconic characters, again Nintendo, is Princess Zelda's alter ego, Sheik. Just a brilliant character, just all round a fantastic character. The sort of Queen Amidala Padme relationship where she'll dress up as an independent League of Assassins character just to escape her, the way everyone treats her as a princess. So yeah, this, and obviously there's no good images of Sheik, Zelda, whatever you want to call them, that I can use for reference from the game image, and I don't want to use anyone else's interpretation of Sheik. So this is just the reference there is just so that I can get the logo on the front, the tabard, and the clothing. That's about it. The rest of it's just a case of me trying to get my style into it. Now I've got her with it's going to be like a goblet, and I'm going to have her lifting up or pulling down the veil so that she can drink out of it. Probably lifting up. I'll probably have her lift up like the bandages that she's got, to take a sip. That's why I wrote on it, just so that I knew what I was in reference to. The next strip is going to be pumps, like the pumps for the beers, and then we've got Ellie from The Last of Us. Ellie, I was pretty confident with drawing as a young girl ponytail. The only reason I got the reference up is for the T-shirt and the logo and stuff. The idea for Ellie is that obviously she's in a bar, she's not allowed to have anything to drink, so she's going to be given her drink by one of the other characters. So that was my feelings on that one. So like I say, yeah, I've drawn female characters with ponytails plenty of times before. So this one isn't going to be a challenge. It's just a case of me. I'm going to have the backpack on her as well because that's iconic. She was one of the others that was always going to be in this game. It's just the best game ever. If you've not played The Last of Us, and you've got access to a PS3, then you've got to play it. It's as simple as that. And if you're fobbing it off or saying you don't want it, then you just cheat yourself out of just an amazing experience. It is just the best game. There is no other. It's fantastic. So yeah, she's going to be like eyes wide with this big beer with a froth on the top. The next character is female Hawk from Dragon Age. Like Bioshock, the Dragon Age games for me have been just fantastic experiences, and you can create your own characters and everything else, so everyone's experience is different. Like for me, the grey, what do they call them? The Grey Warden from Dragon Age Origins is a human male, and the hero of Kirkwall is a female fighter. The Grey Warden was a human male mage who fought against the Templars. The hero of Kirkwall is a female. So for me, this was a female character. I know you could choose to be a male. Hulk is a male as well, but I chose to play it as a female character just because I had played the hero of Ferelden, the Grey Warden, as a male. And the dynamic as well, I could have chosen a sister, because the dynamic between those two, especially if you have her throughout the entire campaign, is brilliant, excellent, especially as she's a warrior. And then the final character is Sam from Gears of War, mainly because she's just the best character in that game, apart from Baird. She's it's just a fantastic. To not have her in the entire game was a crime, because she was brilliant. She should have been in all three games. When she was introduced in the third, I couldn't believe that they'd not come up with this character sooner. It was just it's one of those moments where you wish you could, edit it, take it back and say, this is your Anya. This is the one you wanted to have in it from the start. And the development, I mean, it's not gonna sell. It's not gonna win the awards for the story in Gears of War, but there are moments in it. I mean, you've seen that the comic strip I drew for my birthday last year, the 26th of March 1980. That's when I was born. 2013. If you go to snapcontroller.com/comic/2603 13, it's I did a comic about that moment. That that moment in Gears of War 3. That moment was just fantastic, and Sam brings a lot of that emotion to it as well, with the whole Dom Baird situation. So I thought I'd have her in it on the end, and she'll be the one who's giving the drink to Ellie. She'll be reaching across with the mug to and Ellie's eyes lighting up as she gives it to her. So that's basically the project. So hopefully that's entertained you sufficiently this week, and imagine how that will look when it's all inked. But until